In many project situations, we have a confusion about who is expected to do what. Or in another way, as a project manager, we want to facilitate some conversation so that people know what is expected from them, and they also know what they can expect from others. In a simple way, we want to identify roles and responsibility and things which are expected from different contributor in our project. In order to achieve that, we can use various tools. We can create a text descriptions of roles and responsibility, and we can also use a tool called RACI Matrix. RACI Matrix can be used in multiple contexts. Primary purpose of this tool is to clarify who is expected to do what. It is usually used in the initial stage of the project so that people have a fair understanding about their own roles as well as others. So in this video, we are exploring RACI Matrix in a little bit detail. Let me show you a blank RACI Matrix so that we can use it for our discussion. Matrix is a two-way tool, a two-dimension tool. So you have a rows and you have a columns. Yeah. So the columns in this particular case, RACI Matrix, represents project role or project individuals. Sometimes when you are you have a small team, you may put names in the columns. Sometimes when you have a big team, rather than putting the name of each and every engineer, you will say engineers. You can say team leader. You will say a project manager, architect. So many times you also put the role as a column rather than the individual name. But in a simple word, we can say the columns are the actors. These are the people, or here we are interested on clarifying their roles and responsibilities. So whoever is the player, whoever is the actor in the game, we put them as the column. Now we think about rows. The rows are usually the act. Yeah, the decisions, the activities, the tasks people do. Now, RACI Matrix may not cover all the project tasks, but high-level things which are important to understand the roles and responsibility of various individuals. So we put the activities or high-level tasks as a row, and we put the people or the roles as a column, and then we need to identify for a given role, for a given activity, what is the person is expected to do, what kind of contribution the person expected to do, what is expected from that particular individual. Now that expectation is presented with the help of 4 characters: responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed. So we'll look into the difference between all these 4 so that we can understand how to use this RACI matrix. So in this particular example, we are saying that engineer is responsible for doing training. Yeah. So we have an activity called training, and we are saying the engineer should be doing it. Yeah. So what does it mean? R represents the execution guy, the executor, someone who will do it, who will perform that particular activity. So responsibility is directly linked with performing the activity. In the case of RACI Matrix, you can have more than one person responsible for one activity. It's not like maybe only one role associated with executing the training. You may have another role, maybe an architect might also be responsible for delivering the training. That's a responsible part. Now, if you have an accountability. So for example, in this case, I will say the accountability for training is on the architect. Yeah, so I fill accountability in the architect column. So what is accountability? And many times in our classes, I find a confusion between responsible and accountable when it comes to RACI Matrix. So accountable is more associated with who owns that work, who ensure that this work gets done. If something goes wrong, who own it? Yeah, I am accountable for getting this done. Now, when I'm accountable, I may not necessarily execute that job myself. I can give responsibility of executing that particular job to someone else, but it will still be my accountability. Example, your boss tells you that I need a presentation about your project. You are a project manager, and that work your sponsor gives to you because there are some stakeholder I need to present that presentation. You come back and you delegate this work to a team member, and team member prepares a presentation and gives it to you. You may look at it and you find it okay, and then you go to a sponsor and present that presentation. Now, sponsor is not liking that presentation much. The sponsor gives you few feedback. Now, in that particular time, you can't say, don't give me a feedback. That's the team member who did it. Better you tell him it's not my fault. That's not possible because it's your accountability. The presentation was expected to be complete, meeting the expectation, and this work was given to you. You delegate it to someone, which is okay, perfectly okay, but ultimately you need to own it. So you will understand the feedback, you may fix those feedback yourself, or you may work with a team member and get those feedback done, but that is what accountability means. So accountability is something which cannot be delegated. Responsibility is something which can be delegated. Usually in our project management terms or in the environment, accountability is also associated with the signing authority. Oh, this work is done. Can someone authorize it? This is completed. Yeah. Now, whoever authorizes it, the person might be doing a small sign, but if something goes wrong, the governance group will catch that person. You authorized it. Yeah, you should have taken care of it. So it's like someone who says, yeah, this is good, or who takes an accountability of getting things done. So accountability is something critical when it comes to a particular activity, and we need to ensure that accountability is well understood. In many traditional project management space, it is expected that for a given activity, we should only have a one person accountable. Because if you make, say, two people accountable or two roles accountable for one thing, then there could be a confusion. We may say, oh, who is expected to get it done? So in order to avoid confusion in a traditional world, it is expected that we keep the accountability at one person. But with the emergence of new methods, new ways of working, accountability can be shared as well. In the agile way of working, we are expecting that people who are doing the work probably also should be accountable for it. Yeah, so we may have a responsibility and accountability many times put to the same roles, and we want to have a shared accountability more and more. So whatever is the case, this is a tool. Yeah, this is a tool. You put A in the same column, or you put A in the another column. That depends upon you, but it helps you in clarifying who is accountable for a given activity. Now, these are the two critical ones. The other two, which are consult and inform, yeah, C and I, are basically just to have a clarity who are the other player who should be involved in doing this particular work. So in the case of consult, so for example, for a training activity, I can make an architect accountable, and I can say the quality head should be consulted. Yeah. So when we are designing the training, the quality head may have a role to provide inputs, may provide a structure. So we are understanding for this activity, we should take advice from this particular role. Yeah. So when we put a consult, it means we need to take an advice. Inform is they need to know. They just need to be told. So for example, for an audit activity, engineer could be an informed guy. So whenever the audit will happen, we will inform you because your work may get impacted by it, but we don't want to take advice from you related to the audit. So the quality head might be responsible for conducting that particular audit. And there is a clarity that whenever I am conducting that audit, I will inform the engineer so that engineer knows that today's work will be a little bit disrupted because audit activities are happening. So consult, taking advice, yeah, they are involved in designing that particular activity. Informed, they are not involved in designing that particular activity. They just need to be informed because the information may impact some of their activities. Yeah, some of the engineers' activity for today may get impacted because audit is happening in our project. So this is the simple RACI tool. In our PMP exam, this can be used at various places. The best or a common place where it is seen is a resource management plan, where we want to have a clarity about roles and responsibility of various team members. So that could be a one place where you can use. You also see RACI Matrix emerging in a communication management plan to clarify who communicate, what kind of communication, where and how. So it can be used there. Many times RACI Matrix is also used at a contract level to clarify the role of the provider. If you have a multi-party contract, so all those parties may come as a column and various activities and various decisions, and we may need to clarify with the help of RACI Matrix. In the agile ways of working, RACI is not very common tool. yeah, especially for your PMP exam. So you can ignore using RACI Matrix when you are working in the Agile. Reason being, in the Agile ways of working, various roles are pretty well defined. People know what is expected from them. And it stresses more on collaboration and collective decision-making rather than having a very defined boundaries. Having said that, in the hybrid environment where some part is agile, some part is predictive, it will be again a useful tool because it helps us in clarifying who is expected to do what. So it's a tool which can be used to clarify responsibility, accountability, and who should be consulted and who should be informed in a given situation. We do have a blog talking about this particular topic, and you can find the link of the blog in the description of this video.